All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. We're into the evening of day 5 of World Unity Week. We're exploring the theme of New Earth Rising, which is kind of perfect. And I got two amazing creators here that are birthing something really beautiful in the world, and we're excited to get in and to talk about it. This is Resonance Leadership Immersion. It's an experiential leadership offering led by the one and only Gary Malkin and his co-collaborator Adam Gaskill. We're going to be blending, that event will be blending live music and guided reflection and meaningful dialogue and practical skill building. I'm going to do brief introductions, but before I do, Gary and Adam, welcome. Welcome to World Unity Week.
Thank you so much for creating this opportunity, Ben. Delighted.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much.
All right, I'm excited about this. So look, I think most of our community know Gary Malkin. He's a multiple Emmy award-winning composer, educator, and innovator whose work explores how music, beauty, spoken wisdom, and the human voice can deepen emotional, relational, and spiritual intelligence. For more than 4 decades, he has created groundbreaking neuroaesthetic experiences that bridge contemplative wisdom, healthcare, psychology, and human development. His internationally acclaimed work, including Graceful Passages, a landmark resource for navigating serious illness, grief, and the end-of-life journey that was co-produced by Michael and Doris Stillwater, demonstrates how aesthetic experience can become a catalyst for healing, meaning, human connection, and even unity consciousness. In an increasingly technological age, Gary's work invites us to rediscover the phenomena of resonance as an essential pathway to personal and collective flourishing. Yes, what a beautiful, beautiful description of your life's work, Gary. So wonderful. And Adam Gaskill is a global contribution and marketing strategist, movement builder, and founder of Innovate for Humanity and the nonprofit Creators. For nearly 2 decades, Adam has helped visionary leaders, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and impact-driven organizations turn mission into scalable movements. An NLP master practitioner, publisher of numerous authors, and creator of 90 plus nonprofits. Adam bridges profit, purpose, philanthropy, human transformation, and next generation tools, including Vital Neuro, which hopefully we're going to be hearing about in the session today. His current work focuses on the human competitive advantage in the AI world, resonance intelligence, and helping leaders activate contribution, growth, love, connection, inspired, joyful, efficient action, and legacy structures of impact. Wow, I love it.
It's really true. That's who he is.
That's who he is. So this is amazing, and the two of you together is, dynamite. So in the most beautiful, wonderful way. So we're going to begin with something that Gary, you co-created with Sarah McCrum, I believe, which is a World Unity Week transformance. So let's set the table.
Yeah, so let's just start with this idea of neuroaesthetics, right? As it not just being passive couch potatoes, but all of us feet on the ground, full, straight back. And just what if the power of entraining ourselves slower with beauty holding us, with wisdom coming through us, with music and training us into slowing down, so that our capacity to feel resonant with the inner peace inside and the unity conscious outside is actually possible in 2.5 minutes. Let's have that experience together.
You are invited to experience unity. It's time to put aside the differences that divide us. And embrace the beauty of each one of us being different, being unique, being ourselves. in the essence of who we truly are. A beautiful array of human beings across the planet. So many different ways of being human. So let us get to know each other. Let's spend time with each other. Let's learn from each other. And let's open our hearts to each other. And let's find the unity that exists right in the middle of the richness of our diversity. We are human. We are unique. We are one.
I'm amazed at how long that is really holding up. And I just want to thank you again, then, for being one of the primary catalysts that made that first set happen, because I never get tired of that one. There's something about the synergy between his images and Sarah's voice, the music, all the elements, that just fulfills the promise, you know?
I love it.
I
Perfect.
just, yeah.
Perfect, Adam and Gary. I mean, it says, let's spend time together. Let's get to know one another. And that's really what this is about, isn't it? It's really about taking the time to learn about you two, and at a deeper level, what's the co-creation space between you? What are you up to? What's being birthed? I'm super excited about it. Brother Adam, what are you experiencing?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I just wanted to share the origin story and let Gary lead that journey of how we came together, and what this has been birthed from, and this constant evolution. As Gary says, the ink is still wet and it's writing itself as we go. So, Gary, take it away first, and I'll chime in as well from my pieces and viewpoint as well, if you don't mind.
Well, you know, picture we're in Guatemala. We're about to do this amazing transformational event. And as we're all assembling, we're sitting, and who's this guy, Adam? And I start telling him about me, and he starts telling me about, and then his jaw starts to drop. He says, how come I haven't heard about you? Like, where can you get your stuff? And I went, well, we got some complications in sharing my work with the world. And that began this journey that I just want to acknowledge that there aren't a lot of people who could do this. What Adam did was had to herd the cats of Gary Malkin's overextended self. And I'm so proud that we stayed with this process, because what's being revealed from these two opposite personalities into something we're teaching each other and learning from each other that we feel has relevance in this spiritual community and in this peace community, that we're like the ink is wet. There's something here that we want to share with you as something's emerging that we think is really meaningful. And I'll sum it up in one. I mean, should you want to take it, or you want me to say my piece of it, Adam? This is we're informal, because this is, like you said, this is fresh off the press. So what we're understanding is that Adam came to this relationship having been, I think, having been a master of marketing techniques, and Russell Brunson and Richard Bandler and all these amazing techniques for marketing and sales. And for the last number of years, Adam has been confronting a part of me that I wasn't fully aware of, which was the propensity to be so defined around who I am as a person that creates state change, as a person that loves connection and interconnection, as a person that loves expanding and going horizontal, and yet I'm doing it in a deep way. But I was allergic to transactional reality. I was allergic to focusing on what would create the massive impact. I was allergic to monetizing. I was allergic. I wanted to change the world, but I didn't want it to do it in a way that would reek of something that would make me feel sullied by marketing. And Adam and I suddenly realized that we both had some masteries in complementary worlds that in the world out there have been highly bifurcated and fragmented. And that we are representing something that we all need, because resonance requires architecture. Resonance requires a commitment to humanity, and action and impact and reaching people and financial abundance is all part of the sacred cycle that we're really interested in exploring. So why don't you take it from there, Adam, and try to help flesh this out more so people understand what we're exploring.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you. And I remember it just like yesterday when I was in that Guatemala on a bus to the volcanoes. We were about to hike it as well, and I was just sincerely just appreciating the awe and inspiration and the gifts of humanity and the selfless surrender to the higher and greater good, that you were a vessel that came through your tracks and these amplification and putting such wisdom keepers in studio, but tapping them into unconditional love, to true connection. I was blown away, and I've never experienced that. So my background with sales, marketing, communication, Tony Robbins and Dr. Richard Bandler, the founder of NLP, it's a lot of linear rational thought, results, focus, push, 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 not a lot of fulfillment. Long hours, getting stuff done, working with $1 billion firm, doing Google sprints, creating product design and testing on a marketplace in 5 days. So rapid prototypes, getting stuff done quickly, and then getting feedback. And when Gary's like, take a breath, drop into your heart, I was like, what is this new path here? So it's just such a precious thing to expand the whole me. And as Gary eloquently says, the art of human being and opening that space. And at the same time, what Gary mentioned is really relevant of, as we sometimes go into visionary, where does wisdom meet execution? I mean, we can build the bridge to the 5D, but if we don't ground into abundance, into inspired, joyful, efficient action, stuff starts leaking through. And that's when he mentions the architecture, how resonance needs architecture, or it'll be dissolve and go through. We can still manifest and we can still attract, but without the action, without some structures, without the joy, the fulfillment, and some certain things that we'll be sharing about, it's not as, how would I say it? It's not the most optimal. I believe in the human competitive advantage in the AI world, especially with what's happening now. So that divine spark within us, that sovereignty, the presence, all of the little things, the fundamentals that make us even more human, we're stepping into. But at the same time, knowing that everything is coming around us and sometimes overwhelming and somewhat attacking, if we don't have that sovereignty and that peace, but also reframing the language and knowing how to use it to our best advantage, now we can unlock different capacities and take it to the next level.
And one of the things I've noticed is, I used to be very successful as a Hollywood composer in the 80s and 90s. And then the moment I touched the greater good, I hit a kind of a belief system that if I'm serving the greater good, I couldn't possibly financially benefit. And I don't think I'm alone. I've noticed a lot of visionaries, wisdom keepers, spiritual teachers, artists who want to serve the world are struggling financially. And I wasn't struggling when I was committing myself to the commercial, the GDP. But when I started giving about graceful passages and the pre and perinatal bonding and caregiver, all these tools that Michael Stillwater and I created and beyond, I encountered this place that was, like I said, allergic of success, of financial. They didn't go together. And you remember that moment, Adam, when we were on the phone with a bunch of people from one of Tony Robbins' events. It was like a platinum group, and we were guests. And I stopped everybody in midstream of all these bam, 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 bam. Where I just said, can we just take a breath and drop in for a moment? And it felt like I was a Martian coming on another planet. Where it's just like, what? I even confronted, I said, we're all running so fast, but none of us are dropping into our essence, our purpose, and our sense of our real, like what we're here for, what our heart is telling us. And what's happened over these years is that Adam sees what it means for our humanity to be our competitive advantage in this AI world. And I am happy to say that Adam has really made his impact on me. I'm really excited that we've developed 4 strategies for my understanding how people could pay me to engage with me. And suddenly what emerged is, you know what, we should create a laboratory for people to explore the hub between the over-identifying with state change and love and coherence, vibrational frequency, service, saving the world peace. How do I get there in terms of being in that vibrational frequency? And the whole other side of things that Adam, as this young, rare specialist in marketing, has embraced the difference between when you step into the full experience of being a tuning fork, someone that is in body, mind, heart, and soul, saying, all of these intelligences are important for us to not be ambitious and successful, but to create outcomes that the world wants and needs desperately. You can't guarantee that outcome from a lack of resonance. So I'll take it, like you take it, Adam. And I want to say that at any point, Adam, if you want to, Ben, if you want to jump in, you can ask questions, but go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Yeah. What I notice is sometimes we'll go to the particular events and we meet with this really collective genius and we have a question or a prompt that guides it. And we're tuning in, we're surrendering to the highest outcome. And we'll come up with just beautiful flow. And you can feel the infinity wave between everyone's hearts and energies. And it's great. The one thing that I noticed though is there's a lack of what's next. Where's the integration? Where's the scheduling and making it real? Where's the clear outcomes, the purpose, the why? And then the massive action that goes with it. So this is sustained after the event. We've all experienced amazing transformation events, and it's called the training effect. We're up here, we're feeling good, and then, oh no. But in quantum physics and beyond, there's a little point, what's called escape velocity. So if we can do this and then create different integration systems and clarity and accountability and set the future that we can actually um, have people, systems, processes, formulas around that, we actually create lasting change as well. And one of my backgrounds from the Tony Robbins community, I did with the Stanford study on the physiological change of an event and sustaining it and what happens physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all throughout a whole year with quite a few people. So the science on it is just amazing too. But it's just sometimes when I feel that I have to say something to Gary, like we'll be on a call, but what is our clarity? What's our outcome? What is our purpose here? I know we can go and feel comfortable and familiar in certain spaces, but at the same time, if we don't create action and give people participate opportunities to contribute, say yes, share the sacred exchange and the value, then it becomes a little dissipated. And then we're missing out and we're not showing up as the whole true of who we are. So I'm a strong believer in profit and purpose, not being the so far apart. If we can bring it together, namaste, that you can make more money and have more impact simultaneously. And it's okay to do so.
Well, see, and that gets right down to, so as I decide, I love that, Adam. As I went through the process of deciding what my TEDx talk was going to be, which I did in January, what a phenomenal exercise. And I recommend that everyone do it, whether they know they're going to do a TEDx talk or not, which is if these were the last 15 minutes that had a shot at actually going viral around the world, what would your last 15 minutes want to be about? And what I talked about in the TEDx talk, I'd welcome you all to look at it. Just look, TEDx, Gary Malkin. It was in Mexico, but I think that'll get you there. What I decided upon was, it would unify all my last 30 years, which is, what if there was a way that music, more than entertainment, excuse me, is a tool that slows us down enough that teaches us how to harmonize the wisdom of the heart and soul with the speed, control, and certainty of the linear rational mind. And when we end that addiction to the speed, control, and certainty and include it in the beautiful panoply of many intelligences that we have available to us, and I call it the 5 portals, our heart intelligence, HeartMath has talked a lot about it, the gut, somatic intelligence, the soul, intuitive, energetic intelligence, the spiritual, which is about access to something larger than who we are, and the mind intelligence, not just the linear rational addicts to speed, control, and certainty, but the Buddha mind of unlimited possibility, right? So it set up this realization that our world is really bifurcated into a purpose or profit, business or soul, marketing or authenticity, technology or humanity, action or presence, brand or humanity. You get the drift, right? But what Adam and I are starting to realize in the fact that we stayed with our differences, Ben, and I'm telling you, it's like Felix and Oscar in some ways, the odd couple. It's amazing to me that Adam's lasted this long, because working with me is really like herding cats, because I just said yes to too many things, and it was ridiculous. And so our kind of relationship was on the line.
No, Gary, I don't believe that about you for a minute.
Well, so what we're talking about here is, the reason we're in the mess we're in actually is because it's not a lack of resonance intelligence. It's that all of our intelligences have been fragmented and polarized. It being or doing, heart and head, present. It's ridiculous, right? It's our greatest challenges in AI. It's the fragmentation of the intelligences that we humans were born with, and our inability to leave our biases and our addictions to that linear, certainty, control, and speed, with something that requires something more of us. And that's what we're going to be exploring in the workshop we'll talk to you more about that. But it's about really integrating this polarity and really looking in the mirror and admitting there are a lot of wisdom keepers and artists, when they're really honest with themselves, which I really had to be with Adam, I was scared, because last time I was really abundant, I was fully in the hierarchy of the commercial system. And I was afraid if I got wealthy again, I would be a part of that again. So I've been avoiding having success financially. And what Adam has been demonstrating for me is, what if I'm thinking about wanting to share what I've learned, and the music and the musical tools I've developed do that in a very efficient and accelerated way. And Adam's perception of what I've created helped me see that this is so much more than Gary Malkin. This is about being a steward of the portal I have cultivated into being that is beyond the ego of Gary. So I'll stop there.
Well, there's a lot going on here. It's good. It's very good. It's, first thing I want to say, Gary and Adam, is I love the origin story. We just came out of a program that was talking about the transformational power of spiritual travel. And there you guys are down in Ecuador, right? Was it Ecuador or Guatemala? Guatemala, in the jungles, having this, non-linear experience, and, the origin story of coming together there, and, the synergy that's here. I mean, it's easy to categorize, okay, Gary's the heart guy, and Adam is the rational guy. But there's a lot more than that, isn't there? There's many layers of depths to this. But I think that the real beauty of it is that together, you're something more than either of you as an individual, and bringing that dynamic together, it's fascinating. And, it's not easy, right? Because if it was easy, we'd all be doing it. We wouldn't have this challenge to bring purpose and profit together. So there are some spaces where, what the message that Adam's bringing in will be perceived as harsh or cold or insensitive or hurting someone's feelings, by saying, well, actually, you know what, that offering, it's not up to the quality that we need in order for this to be a commercial offering. And that can be challenging in a lot of these heart-centered communities where everyone's voice is welcome and everybody's gifts are, valued. And so how do you straddle the beauty of that openness, where everyone's kind of, open to everybody else's stuff, and then the other view where actually quality matters, and, ability matters, and talent matters. And you need to actually, sometimes in the spiritual community, Gary, we say no judgments, right? Well, actually, we need to have judgment.
Well, discernment
Right.
is a better
But
word.
it's just another word for the same thing. It is a judgment. And I'm just saying, we've got to reclaim some of this language, because we've put ourselves into these traps where we're tied up with what, Ken Wilber might call a kind of a green meme of relativistic, everything's the same. And then how do you apply what Adam sort of, you can call it discernment if you're more comfortable with it, but how do we then apply it in a way that's still heart-centered, but actually gets the job done? So how do we straddle those tensions, Adam? How do you manage to do that?
Yeah. No, thank you for that. Well, first off, it comes with, um, what our intention is, how we're coming together, the appreciation and gratitude, truly being present and understanding what the main mission is, while simultaneously knowing that success leaves clues. Modeling success. If someone's got there, there's a path. You don't need to climb this mountain to the right where it's all jagged and rocky, where we can go up this path and it makes sense. But there's ingredients of action, accountability, planning, systems, formulas that we don't need to reinvent it. But that's where our habits, our rituals, and our surrender to it, and also the trust to the who, that can help say, hey, this is the way we've done it. This has worked in the past. But also the courageous saying, in order to get the highest and greatest outcome for the group, someone has to be bold enough to say, this is what I would do, this is what I'd recommend, and here's leadership. And that's that resonance leadership as well. So what Gary and I stand for, and he'll explain this as well, and I know he wants to jump in on this, is the capital R in STREAM. So we've heard of STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. And then we have STEAM. Let's add the A in there with arts, okay? Now let's put a giant capital R, STR. So science, technology, resonance, intelligence, engineering, arts, and math. What is that connective tissue that brings it all together? And this is that balance of those two worlds, as Gary's talking about, being and doing, right? In there. Now that's where it starts. And then Ben, you noted on something that's very important. We have a lot of anchors, we have a lot of stories, and we have a lot of internal dialogue that's happening. So we're either accessing resources or we're living in the past, dictating the future and trying to create from that, which is not a healthy recipe in order to get what we desire and what we want. And knowing that simple psychological shifts are so important because it's 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. I notice that sometimes on calls, we'll be focusing on the problem so much that it eliminates what the solution is. The laws of the universe and universal laws in general, if we focus 95% on the solution, 5% on the problem, what happens is our energy, our harnessing and directing of what we're focused on allows the manifestation, creativity, and then now you put success metrics in ways that already are proven. It now naturally forms into that stream.
Yeah, beautiful. I want to share a little story that, Adam wouldn't have anything to do with me if I didn't take the first two courses of Tony Robbins. He said, if we're going to work together, we have to work from a similar platform. You have to understand. And I went, Tony Robbins, it was like sort of a loud, rah, rah, yeah, rah. I was so allergic. I did every other conceivable spiritual thing you can imagine since I've been 18 years old, but Tony Robbins not going near it, right? And I was astounded to realize how I had a blind spot around this very polarity that we're talking about. But one of the areas where I felt so, oh my, and this is rare for me, but I remember, Adam, when I went, oh, I know what I want to do. And I said, I don't know whether it's going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 years. Sage, his wife, understands subtlety of energetic shifts and a range of transformational opportunities. Tony is still, the rock and roll is the only music, and they're screaming and screaming. And so what I noticed was the contribution that I feel like I'm embodying is the nuance of resonance intelligence, the nuance of different, more subtler state changes that don't just involve the male ego going screaming, rock and roll, but dropping into the subtle nuances of what we pick up when we're not screaming and yelling and pushing from that traditionally male perspective, right? And what happens is there are tools that I've been developing for the last 15, 20, 30 years that awaken our innate wholeness, our innate engagement with these multiple intelligences. And what happens when we do is it's a different outcome. And suddenly we really decide what we really want. We want a sustainable peace on earth experience for everybody. We want flourishing for all. We want it. Suddenly your heart and soul start getting involved. So instead of thinking that AI will replace our humanity, it should amplify our humanity and not, it can never replace our sentience, you know? So there's this thing to uncover that has to do with the nuance of understanding what we are resonating with. Because that famous thing, like the body never lies, right? It keeps the score, right? Well, the resonance is the capacity for you to be a human tuning fork that allows for body, mind, heart, spirit, and soul. And the wisdom and the speeds of those intelligences, they naturally come online when we slow down into what it is we really want and who we're really here for, what we're really here for. Go ahead, Adam.
Beautifully said. Yes. And you were touching on something as well that we're all apparent to, as fear is being an operating system with a lot of what's happening in the world. As AI and intelligence is abundant, manipulation, different things to pull the heartstrings. In marketing language, we find our ideal avatar and we build the pain, the pleasure, the specific internal belief systems, and we know so deeply. So sometimes, if you're not aware of that, you can get sucked into hypnosis and fear of missing out and lack and scarcity and being pulled. I need this. I want this. I don't have this. And that's not a proper cycle internally. So we want to have these tools that Gary has and bring them to people so they can snap, wake up, remember who they truly are, create that clarity, and then start with that centered as well. And I think this is a good time, Gary, to bring in some of the information about the performance tool that really came upon my heart from the creator waking me up. Do you agree?
Yeah, it sounds great. I will just say one thing about this. It's like many people, can you recognize this? And then we'll go to that, Adam. Is that,
Yeah.
this magical thinking of if I follow my heart and follow my bliss, everything will work out, or if I optimize and execute and focus, everything will work out. Well, those are partial truths, but what Adam has succeeded in getting me to see, and not just see, but take action toward, was rather than avoid the transactional, avoid the branding of myself because I thought it was narcissistic and egoic to talk about Gary Malkin that way. And suddenly I realized it was an essential part of my being real about what people experience and how they experience me. So getting out of the egoic trap to think that if I'm perceived as narcissistic for creating a bio like the one Ben read, that I would be somehow viewed as some sort of filled with himself guy. Well, I want people to trust me, to actually awaken to try for themselves whether what we're creating and what we're talking about is useful. So this phrase, basically, that the merging states that requires love, requires architecture, it requires all these tools that I've been avoiding like the plague most of my life, which are these fabulous tools that Adam has mastered. But then architecture without love, without resonance, without coherence, becomes extraction. It becomes abusive. It becomes unrealized potential, right? It becomes stuff wasted. How many projects have just been wasted on the ground because I don't know how to market? I know how to create states or make beauty, but I don't know how to market. I don't know how to reach the audience. And I don't even like doing it because I'm terrible at it, right? Adam has been showing me that avoidance must be loosened and emulsified and awakened to something much different. And this tool that Adam's about to talk about seems to be a very powerful contributor to that experience. Ben, you're up.
No, that's great. Just enjoying it all. Let's go and have a look at the tool, Adam. Let's show everybody.
Yeah, sounds good. And I just want to mention one thing that Gary and I came to about. One of the key things was he still wanted fulfillment and joy and greater good consciousness on his heart. Thus, we started the Global Wisdom Foundation to bring wisdom keepers together. We created the concept of We Rise as One as a global ability for people to come in from all these different areas. The main emphasis on it is that fulfillment, the joy, the push and pull dichotomy that we have in our everyday worlds. It's going to get tough. Not, if we're going to have problems. We just need better, higher quality and better quality problems. But if you have something that's such an anchor and a position within Gary's heart, and our shared service to the greatest good of humanity, then that's where it gets that, hey, it's tough, but we're doing something bigger than ourselves. And then this is where these systems, these tools, and success strategies really come in from sales and marketing and packaging as well. So what Gary's
Adam,
talking,
I'm so glad you said that because I went against strict judgment around sustainability. Because many of my friends know that since I lost everything in the Madoff scandal, I I never really recovered my Midas touch that I had when I was doing music for Hollywood. And I'll never forget that Adam said, listen, you understand you can't do good if you don't do well, and let's focus on the for-profit first. And I went, I can't. My dad died at 71. I'm turning 71. What if I die then? I've got to do what I know I have to do, which is the Global Wisdom Foundation, and We Rise as One. And Adam went with me on it, even though it was the harder path, because we did build these things, and they were very, very promising, but they still left me without a sustainable path forward to pay for my daughter's wedding coming up in a year, which is, by the way, very exciting. So I just really want to acknowledge you, Adam, for the fact that you did make me so happy by making those two projects possible. They wouldn't have happened without you as a partner. I mean, it's just the way it is. So, and now we're down to the integration of the two that I've been avoiding. And please go ahead, Adam.
Let me just jump in there real quick, Adam and Gary. For those who maybe don't know the projects at this point, tell us a bit about We Rise as One, because I know it's something, Gary, that really pulls a lot of your passion and talents and your mission and your what you want to give to the world, or perhaps what you're called to give to the world, into this platform, We Rise as One. So tell us a little bit about it. What is it?
All right. Well, I'm going to be short because I really want to give time for Adam to talk about what he came to talk about. But I'll say this, that what I've been saying is We Rise as One was a pilot that showed me whole new heights of collaborative experience, partnering with Pathways to Peace, partnering with you, partnering with Peter and Hubcast, and creating something that is the zenith. It was the sum total of everything I've worked towards in the last 30 years. Grief as the pre-concert workshop for awakening that you can't create outer peace without inner peace. You can't create inner peace without addressing the unresolved traumas and losses that we all sustain from being in the womb. And the birth trauma itself is something we haven't resolved. So the idea was linking these worlds together that actually create the components of true recognition of what's possible when we elevate the conversation as shared humanity, welcoming multi-generational, multicultural, multi-religious communities together in a ceremonial entertainment piece that can be customized in cities across America and across the world. And it's just, it was done so beautifully with the team and Peter's filming and everything that we're looking for the money to create the city activation kit that will make Tess Cacciatore said she would write it, is a small film that will spread to, film festivals that will spread the concept because it's contagious. People were so nourished by the experience, and we know that we're onto something big. So that's, we're looking to really flesh that out. But my reward for why We Rise as One is my reward as I succeed in finally confronting my fear of being transactional, my fear of being abundant for whatever reason, God knows, my fear of understanding the hard work it's necessary to do things that aren't easy for me, like creating music, really easy for me, but to actually focus on the kind of questions that will identify specifically who are my avatars, and to design a questionnaire in advance of a landing page that really wants to share this work with success. And this, Adam, take it from there.
Beautiful. Yes, it was such a glorious event at the Grace Cathedral Church and bringing all the musicians from just servant leaders all coming together. What a vibe that was. That was incredible. Um, yeah. So before I go into the performance thing, just one thing that Gary just mentioned. So when a lot of visionaries, they have a lot of different toolkits, or they've been doing a lot, but where's the compartments? Where does it land? Sometimes if we start sharing all of these things, we go internal, we'll trance out. We're like, whoa, that's a lot. So we must create buckets. We must create compartmentalization. So for Gary, for example, it was transform yourself, transform your event, transform your legacy. Now, that's an easier path for someone to self identify what's the most important for you. How can we best serve? Is it yourself right now on the stage? Is it the event that you're doing that we need to amplify it? Or is it your legacy and you're at a different stage? So if you give simple pathways, it's easier for someone to come in and understand where they're at so you can serve them better. You earn your way in. And the one thing that Gary's talking about as our Resonance Leadership Immersion is going to be in October is we wanted to create something that's not just an event, but it's lasting transformation. But also, how do we bring in world-class tools that really amplify someone? So last October, I kept getting woke up about 2, 3 in the morning from the creator, and he said, help this company. And I was like, well, what about Innovate for Humanity? What about the nonprofit creators? What about what we're doing with Gary Malkin? And the company was called Vital Neuro. So I show you right here what this is real fast. So if everyone can see that, right? Especially Ben. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what it is the only intervention wearable in the world that assesses your state and transforms you in real time. So what it is founded by John Golden, the founder of Vital Neuro, who's one of the world's best human performance and recovery specialists, who worked with all the special operations, the NFL, top names, corporations. So what it is it studies your brain waves every 4 milliseconds and on 250 brain data points. So if you want to relax better, you want to focus better, you want to optimize, you want to sleep, it uses neuroresponsive music instantaneously to transform. So it assesses and transforms in real time. So we've heard of wearables, like maybe like a Whoop or someone has an Aura ring, etc. And it might show you that your gas tank is empty, right? Well, we know that, but also sometimes that's hypnosis. Like, well, I don't need to tell me that I'm not ready for my day. That's not pretty healthy for my action. I got a big thing to do on my day. But what this does is it fills up your tank simultaneously as well. So from hospital systems to 40 different locations, people are using this without pharmacological to get into sedation. Sales teams are performing better by activating how do they get back in the zone. So what me and Gary said is how do we take Gary's work, his wisdom, his toolkits, and add a performance layer, world-class nervous system infrastructure with it? So we said, okay, how about we explore that when we have an event together, every single person gets one. And we do a pre-ritual, we do a during, we anchor, we fire off amazing protocols that transform your state so you can take that lasting change. But my favorite is the ending. How do we go back into our everyday world with the toolkit, the subconscious armor, the grace, and that love that's lasting? So we created a 45-day integration system so you can literally put this on to be more present for your family, to literally, if something's happening in the day and you're getting struck with overwhelm, put it on, press play. There's a graceful passage integration pathway within it. There's a caregiver focus, but also leaders, the high achievers. Before this call, sometimes you might be scattered or you don't know how to shut it off. We've now taken Gary's portals of all experiences, his toolkits, and his mastery, and combined it in a way that someone has a gift that lives well beyond just the event. And this is just the beginning, and can't wait to share more about it. But we're honored and grateful to steward this and bring this into communities to help them again make more money, but be who they are and remember who they are more.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Adam. So is this available now, this technology? Is it
Yes.
accessible and people can engage it? Show us the device one more time. So you put it on and it'll measure a bunch of different variables and then it'll suggest it'll suggest some music for you to sort of transcend your states, transform your states.
Yep. So there's 5 sensors that reads your unique signature. So if you put this on and just press play and you're doing emails or you're doing follow-up, what
Yeah,
Ben's going to hear from me is different. So it's clinical grade EEG, so brain science on brain training. And then it uses this thing called neuroresponsive music and also operant conditioning. So it literally will create a tone or a signal, and you said, I like that. That's good. And it'll show you if you're in the zone. And then what it does is it'll release the tone. So your brain will actively fire it off and create neuroplasticity and new neural synapses so you can remember who you are without the headset. So it's a
yeah.
performance tool. If you do it on a consistent basis, you will be like the concentration, the better sleep. The data that we have for the last 6 years is just outstanding on what it's doing for organizations. And then one of my goals was how do we bring it into our worlds?
Mm.
How do we bring it into retreats, coaches, masterminds, world game changers that are doing something incredible, but might not have the validation or the scientific neuroscience proof and performance layer that these
Mm.
top athletes are using or these top
Yeah.
professionals are using. That intertwine is what I'm most excited about as well.
But and
Wow.
I really want to stress though that this is not about some sort of like, the technology will save us again. It's not like that. What I've learned is because of what's happened in the Spotify streaming world arena, which has been the biggest fu to artists that ever existed since BMI and ASCAP were formed to try to protect the writers by royalties that are can't come close to what they're doing to destroy the artists. These streaming sites are completely unfair and inappropriate and not helpful to anyone other than people who have millions of followers. But so what we have to do is the site, because music is made to be so dismissible, and most people expect it all just come free from the sky. What I felt was there are a lot of machines you can put on to change your state, but there are very few that do this much provable research that actually both diagnoses and nourishes the brainwave activity. And I thought, in this culture, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Most people just don't value the cost that it takes and the time to create these works. I've spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on about 200 tools of spoken word, music, and all the other things I can do. And yet to get them to respect it as a state change tool that can actually, when properly contextualized, bring you into being a human tuning fork, someone that senses resonance on multiple levels. Very hard to convey that message. So I want to acknowledge Adam because he when I ended up talking to the CEO of this company and the neuroscientists behind it, man, I felt like I walked on water the way they treated me. I mean, it was incredible. And out of the 20 composers the neuroscientist has been interviewing for the last 5 years, I'm the one that he wants to co-create something with for
Wow.
specifically the platform. I mean, this is because of Adam's not only knowledge of what it is that I've devoted my life to, but his capacity to really convey things that turn into action and manifestation that I'm so grateful for. So I just, yeah. And I do, by the way, I want to leave time for like a 3 or 4 minute meditation that I created
Yeah.
for this audience. And I don't know when we have to end, like,
No,
when
no,
are
it's
we
okay.
ending?
We got about 15, maybe 20 minutes to go. So
Oh, good.
let's take our time here. This is very rich. I've had people texting me telling me how much they're enjoying this conversation.
Oh,
So it's
good, good, good.
Vital
I now,
Neuro. So Vital Neuro is the device, and
you
then
have a link,
coming up
Adam, you can put there?
in October, we are going to have this Resonance Leadership Immersion. We want to dig a little bit deeper into that, but just loving the synergy here between the immersing space. I mean, that's what's incredible about it. And this is an example, another example of this wholeness which is unfolding. And we often say it doesn't matter how people get into this big tent. Some people come in through spirituality, some people come in through ecology, some people come in through commerce, some people come in through the arts. It doesn't matter how you end up here. But inside the tent, it's the interconnectedness of everything. And, with what this new technology is bringing, and then the incredible depth of your music, Gary, and these new things which are emerging as a result of your friendship, you two, it's just a beautiful thing to witness. And it's another example of this. How do we get there if there is this new transformed world? What some people call the new earth. Today's theme is new earth rising. Well, we don't
About
get there.
wholeness. Yeah.
We
Go
don't get
ahead.
there through a linear. We don't get there through a linear progression. At some point, there's going to be a quantum leap, and that's the quantum leap of 1 + 1 = infinity. And that's what we're seeing here is the boundless, limitless possibilities that come when we come together. I know many people talk about the hydrogen atom and the oxygen atom, coming together and group two hydrogen to create water. This is the magic. But it's so incredible to see the synergy creating something that never could have existed if Adam and Gary didn't bump into each other in the jungles of Guatemala. That's a beautiful thing.
And then, I don't know if you heard about this, but I had worked with 2 years ago a billionaire family, one of the wealthiest families in Calgary, in Canada. And Adam and I were writing the proposal to this because their family, their 4-generation billionaire family, it's falling off the rails. And I was trying to imagine how I could possibly charge more than $25,000 for 3 days. I couldn't. I felt like I would be bilking them. We ended up charging a hell of a lot more because it was a margin error for this family, right? And Adam's the one that said, you don't understand the value of coherence and resonance. You need to actually step in and realize, you have to realize what you say, absorb what you talk about, and walk your talk. It was such an incredible experience. That really helped me understand that when a family is falling apart, we can bring them together through music and facing your shadow. And I'd worked with this wonderful woman named Linnea Brinkerhart. But that was a turning point for me, Adam. Remember how I was like
Yep.
screaming, how could I charge 4 times that? It was amazing. Not better than I. And then I suddenly realized, what world am I living in? And this world of scarcity being somehow noble, that I'm broke and it's like, no, I want to flourish so I can give at a radical level. And frankly, that's what I felt on the stage at the Hello Movement, Ben. Something happened to me, and some things are happening, and they're very generative, and a lot of them is because of this partnership with Adam that we've stuck with. So I'm just so grateful and so happy that the head and the heart are merging at a whole new level for me.
Hallelujah. It's beautiful. And now you've got this gathering coming up in just a few months in October, and your working title, Adam, is The Human Advantage. I love that. I really love that. A living laboratory for resonance leadership in the age of AI. Tell us about it. What's the invitation?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for honoring the divine in it, Ben, as well. Of the Guatemala, the sacred past, the guidance, our allies that brought us together, and then the appreciation, the surrender to it, and then the learning. So thank you for that. So grateful that we're being guided. So thank you, Gary. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, everyone. I'm listening and as well. Yeah, so we're gonna have some fun. This is, as Gary mentions, the ink is still wet. What I mean by that is we know there's structures of how to take um, a vision to create it into action, how to bring wisdom into execution, how to create rapid prototypes, how to use AI in such a way that's fun, fulfilling, but also in a way that we create resonance with the group, that it's a lasting change. And then how do we use world-class tools that we can integrate into your everyday lives as well? Now that's where it gets really fun. So we're identifying the location in October, but we got the dates for the 16th through the 18th, and I'll put a couple links in the chat as well. One that you can take a look at some of the more specifics on the leadership immersion, and then also you asked about Vital Neuro as well. So you can take a look at that. But here's the premise. How do we bring in 12, 15 to 20 epic people that are doing big things in humanity? How do we remember who we truly are? Use the human competitive advantage, use the world-class tools that Gary's been brought, but also then identify what people need, the clarity, the roadmaps. If we're getting clear on our result, our ultimate result, we have our purpose, we're being pulled into our future, and then we understand our massive action plan. And then we have systems, tools, and accountability that we can go well beyond it. This is where celebration, activation, and abundance can truly thrive on a more consistent basis. And as Gary mentioned that story with the billionaire family, that was an anchor. That's a remembrance of like, wait, it's okay to be wrong in certain areas. You don't have to know all this. I have 2 decades of experience in this, in packaging and framing and communicating it in a way that shows the value equation. And they see it, but we have to be able to see it in our ways and also communicate that. So our main mission, and Gary, I want you to share what you're really feeling called to for anyone that's interested. Put resonance in the chat as well. Just even if we can speak to you about what's calling or what's on your heart. My main mission is if we can connect world game changers in a room for even a 2 days period of time with the power of AI, the human advantage, it is astronomical and unfathomable what the creation can create. And that's where the legacy structures really last.
And one of the things that was probably one of the most important professional turning points of my life was I was in this 3-day workshop with Linnea Breakerhoff and I were facing the shadow and using music as a way to deepen that's where the phrase came out of me that our vulnerability and our authenticity are the core currencies of true transformation. Because when you really let go of the need to look cool and don't crack open the tears that are really ultimately underneath the things that really either matter to us that haven't been completed, like grief and loss and things that we never really honored, or what we really care about, when you get to that place of sharing that vulnerability, it's a game changer. And I have taken this for granted because that's who I am. I'm here to crack open people's hearts and use the music to actually make us all feel unified as one. And so when I saw in this family, wow, I know it really limited my attraction to do. Like I have literally 30 launches that I've had on my list with Adam that we whittled down from 50, and there are 30 projects. Launching this album. There's a bunch of stuff that hasn't been put on Spotify because I'm wanting to put a paywall in front of it, and I hate it being free. But when I realized that there's only one job I do that's the core of it all, it's awakening vulnerability and actually getting people to their true why. Combine that with someone that knows how to manifest action plans that actually hold up in today's and stays current with AI usage as well as the effectiveness that will provide. Wow, it's made things simpler for me. So yeah, what I would like to do in this workshop is create a safe context for us to radically admit that we have been mostly operating in our heads, if we have, or we have been mostly operating in our hearts or whatever. And what would happen if we did exercises that actually melted those propensities to avoid the uncomfortable or the unfamiliar and actually look at a true integration of state change with massive impact and massive change. And look at the places where we might, like I was, intimidated by confronting the part of me that thought if I'm doing good, I can't get paid for it, which is crazy now. I'm thinking, where did that come from, right? So we're really going to be actively involved in confronting our biases and our habits so that we can shake it up and become massively impactful. Or if we've been in our heads a lot in strategy and speed and certainty, how can we create a context that's safe for us to actually recognize what happens when we are in our hearts and open to deeper states of resonance with our humanity? I want to know what that's like with a bunch of people that are ready to go for the mix, for the blend.
Love that. I love it. So it's coming up, and you're inviting people to come October 16 to 18 to sort of be immersed in this beautiful resonance, leadership, technology, and inspiration. By the way, the timing's really interesting. I was just confirming there the Origin Festival is October 16th, Saturday, and they are going to be going from the origin of humankind, an archaeological site an hour out of Johannesburg, which is a fascinating place in itself. But this is a global event with Zach Bush and Chris Decker, and so they're going to have a global moment. And I don't know exactly what time it's going to be in the US, but yeah, just we'll stay connected around that, Adam and Gary, because they're looking for people to participate. So maybe those people on the Resonance Immersion might want to plug into this global moment of unity that's coming out of the Origin Festival. We just had Chris Decker on before you guys as one of the
my God.
drivers, along with Zach Bush. So that's happening. It's all happening. I love it. It's really beautiful, and I love the clarity that you are bringing together to this offering. So we've got a few minutes left, Gary. We'll close with your musical thing, but did want to invite if there was anybody here in the room that had a question or a comment or a reflection.
Ben, before that, I just came up with this line. Many wisdom keepers and artists don't actually fear money or success. They fear identity displacement and disassociation. The power of the desire to want to maintain our comfort zone and our familiarity might be more what we fear than the fear of being successful. Maybe we don't want to leave our comfort zone of how we've seen ourselves, right? Anyway, yes, please, anybody that has any confessions to make about which camp you're secretly biased towards, or anything you want to ask.
Well, I think you touched on something really important there, Gary, which is, there is a propensity to play small. And, I think as you guys have pointed out, there's a lot going on in the operating system of every human being, from family imprints and, where you talked about even the birth process. I mean, there's a lot that goes in, which has got a bit wonky, along the way. And that idea about I don't want to step up to the big stage because, I'm not worthy or I'm not ready, or I might look like I'm, wanting too much of the limelight, or I might look like I'm trying to be a big, ego or whatever. There are a billion different ways that we can convince ourselves to stay in our own little, space. But I think the challenge, and I do love, NLP and Tony in particular. I mean, he is giving technology for people to play big. Now he's, working with entrepreneurs and people are out there to, and that's fine. I mean, there's a fairly large humanitarian heart there, along with the for-profit motive there. But it's about getting people to be the fullest expression of themselves. And I feel like that's what you two are bringing together. But with Gary, your offerings, it's the heart spaces. It's not just an add-on, it's an equal partner with the mind and the rationality. And together they create this, beautiful wholeness. So I think what you're offering with this resonance immersion, this leadership training, is very profound. It's cutting edge. That's even before you bring in all the wearable stuff. I mean, it's already cutting edge.
Right.
And you're bringing people and you're inviting people to step into the fullness of themselves. And that is valuable. That is precious. It's
Thank you
beautiful.
for noticing that, Ben. And I just want to put a shout out to Kristen because I've been admiring her from afar at how integrated she's been in creating value added experiences that supports her, like in Patreon style involvements. Kristen, I've been watching you, I've been studying you, and it is no surprise to me that this issue that we pointed out that's very widespread, trust me, you don't have this problem. You're very integrated, head and heart, systems as well as talent. And I just want to say I've been watching you for years now, and I have a lot to learn from you. And I really appreciate you a lot.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Well, we all have a lot to learn from each other, and I was just typing in, it depends, and it depends on what game one wants to play, right? Sometimes that comfort zone that you spoke to, Gary, is actually the authentic zone. And being small and authentic and in your presence is often, it depends if you're working on soul growth levels. Sometimes that's the bigger game and the bigger success than following a traditional path of quote unquote big success that forces one to give up some of those really important soul metrics. I can say, just from someone who walked through almost 10 years in the major label music world on Capitol Records, Interscope Records, that is exactly the world that I consciously chose to leave behind. And I don't regret it for one single moment of my existence. And truly, it is, I think, listening to how do I create the most incredible alignment so that I'm not denying what I know in the depths of my being in connection with my soul, and yet I'm living fully and presently and taking courageous leaps with my gifts, so that I'm really offering what I'm here to do, what my soul source mission is. So for me, the way that I guide is really about listening. And listening first, and then discerning, and then going into action. And I've found if I get confused, or if I'm doubting myself, if I just slow down and I take that time to listen, then I see the variables that come in and I can say, oh, what's really lighting me up, and move towards that. So that's all I'm doing, really. And I'm learning from all the beautiful beings like you, Gary, and Adam, and Ben, and Summers on this call, all of these beautiful beings, in our family. We have so much to learn from each other. So I'll stop talking, but I'm so inspired and love all that you're doing, and that you're following your hearts and working together in such a vital and amazing new way. And and Adam, thank you for embracing real musicians for this new technology. It's so,
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
yeah, so
Kristen,
important.
that's really profound. Thank you for
Beautiful.
that's a
Thank
very
you.
important, perspective, isn't it? I think it's not just about, people wanting to have any kind of trappings of success or going big in any kind of traditional worldly sense, but it's really, and I think this is the resonance part. It's really about what's our calling. What are
Right.
we called to be, and what are we called to
Exactly.
become?
No, that is the most so important. Right, right, Ben.
And probably if you're here as a human soul embodied, you're not a small time player anyway. That's my guess. My guess is that you're already taking those big soul leaps, and it's
If
just a
you're onto
matter.
something, then
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for this incredible life spring of inspiration.
Beautiful, sister. Thank you so
And
much.
your transformance piece with Sarah, Gary, just tears, heart opening every single time.
You know, this is embodiment or bust, baby. Integration or bust. It's like when I realized that we can actually show up with all of who we are, and it was the mainstream that was subjugating all these other forms of intelligence because it didn't fit nicely and neatly into the commercial, patriarchal, hierarchical model. It's like our job, and the thing that I've learned so much about you, Ben, is you just stay with what you know is true and you just don't relent. And that's who you've been for all these years. It's just this concept on this understanding of unity consciousness is the mother of everything generative. Because when we realize our interconnection, it's a game changer on every level. And it just allows us to show up for what we're uniquely here for. And that's one of the goals of that weekend. You're going to find out really what your purpose is and what you're here for, even deeper, maybe, hopefully, than you'd thought. So I know we have to end, and I wanted to, I didn't even share with
Gary.
Adam
Thank
what
you.
this
I
piece
just want to
is.
say thank you, Gary. And
Yeah.
I just want to also point out there is a lot of vibrational intelligence in the field right here, right in this space. So just feeling that and witnessing that in the space here, the vibrational intelligence is vast. And so grateful, grateful. And it's going to be, building and building all the way through these 99 days, all the way through September into October. I tell you, this year, this is a turning point, ground zero, inflection point, call it whatever you like. It's a
Goosebumps,
hundred,
man.
but a
Yeah.
10x or 100x, it's 1,000x. It's like, it's now. And it's through the love and friendship. So thank you, Adam, for embracing Brother Gary. And thank you, Gary, for having the courage, the humility, and the vulnerability to go on this journey with Adam. You are changing the field through your friendship. So just final closing for each of you, and then we'll close out. Beautiful.
Well, this is a thing I haven't even told Adam about, but I came up with this meditation, and I'm hoping it'll be of service. So I'm just going to put some music on, and I hope that this isn't the one with Sarah McCrum talking. Let me just see here. No, that's not it. Hold on. Yeah, I think this is it. Okay. Can you hear my voice over the music? Can you
Yes.
hear it? Great.
Yeah.
So I'd like to invite everyone to just close their eyes and take a deep, deep breath and feel your heart and your soul and your body. Place your hands over your heart. Let's take another breath together. So I'd like you to quietly imagine that your life's work was never yours to own. It's only yours to steward. Now whisper, may I become a worthy steward. Say that to yourself. May I become a worthy steward of what has been entrusted and given to me. May I become a worthy steward of what has been entrusted to me. And say, and think, you don't have to say it out loud, may I allow this work that I came here to bring to reach everyone that it was meant to serve. May I receive so that I may continue to give. May prosperity and abundance become a new understanding as participating, not possession. Accessibility, not wanton commercialism. And I just say and feel, may my visibility serve the mission I came here to offer. and give a right relationship to my ego so it can provide whatever branding is necessary to help people feel whether they're resonant with who we are and what we have to offer. Because people need that now. They need that clarity in who you are and who you came here to offer. People need to feel it. So don't be afraid of shining and stepping into it, because they need you. We need you. And may every exchange that you have as you explore your personal purpose, may it become an act of blessing. An act of blessing. Adam, would you like to add anything to this?
Yes, thank you. Everyone, just know that you are loved, you are held, you are perfect. Let the grace and the light shine through you even more, now and forevermore. Give yourself permission to shine and to awaken the other sparks and the light within each of us and everyone around us. Let it flow. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And just let the music seal and open and it plant a seed in your heart and grow. Then we can create the new earth that is waiting for us to step into who we are, to share it with as wide a group as we possibly can. Then thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was sweet, sweet divine. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That was such a beautiful conversation and connection. We spent time together. We got to know each other a little better, and so much more to come on this journey of discovery all the way through. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Gary. Blessings on your continued good works. This is beautiful. It's real. It's grounded, and it's here for good. And we're looking forward to connecting and collaborating with We Rise as One. We've got a bit of an idea about what can happen in Minneapolis. We're going to follow up with that. That's just around the corner in the middle of the 99 days. Something's emerging here. Something's happening. This is a rolling transformational field, and we're riding it, riding the wave. So we're just getting our groove on here, which is very, very cool. I want to thank everyone for being here in the room.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And we're going to close the day. This is this session, but we're going to close the day with a song by Pookie Lee and Bob Baker. And I want to shout out to Pookie and Bob. This was an awesome, awesome theme song from 2023, New Earth Rising. Let's finish the day with this positive energy and finish this session. And thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Love you guys.
We are rising in power all over the world. Our hearts hold the visions of our ancestors before. We are a new earth rising. We are a new earth rising. Together we're rising. together. We each hold the key, fulfilling the visions of the ancient prophecies. We are a new earth rising. We are a new earth rising. Together we're rising. Now is the time to rise.
It's a new earth rising. Rise. It's a new earth rising. Rise. New earth rising. Rising in love. We rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
New earth rising.
Rising in love.
All across the land.
Rising up.
Every woman, child, and man.
Rising up.
Walking hand in hand.
Rising up.
Together we will stand.
Rising up. Rise. A new earth rising. Rise. It's a new earth rising. Rise. New earth rising. Rising in love. We rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
New earth rising.
Rising in love. We rise. It's a new earth rising. Rise. See the new earth rising. Rise. Feel the new earth rising. Rising in love. We rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
New earth rising.
Rising in love. We rise. We rise. We rise. We rise. Rising up.
Yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Pookie Lee and Bob Baker. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, Ben, if I may say, thank you so much. I'd not heard that in so long. That was, thank you, Ben.
Thank you. And thank you, Shonda, for holding the room all day with your beautiful programs and your beautiful spirit and heart. And to Ingrid